Hello, my beautiful people. I am up late night and I saw a video to discuss today. Um, this video was a commentator. I think his channel is Infinite Colors. He did a commentary on a girl who was talking about stepping up and taking care of the responsibility of having a kid. In college at 17, she didn't ask the guy to take care of the kid. Now that they were pregnant, the guy already told her, when they found out they were pregnant, that he didn't want the babies, but she wanted the baby, so she kept it. And that was the reason why she never asked him for money, but she was fortunate enough to to have the father come around. He wanted to be around, and he's been around ever since. But as this guy was making a commentary, he's talking about how his roommate, ended up in a situation like that as a male. So we were able to see two sides of the spectrum where a female gets to choose to keep the baby, and if the guy doesn't want it, the guy doesn't have a say so. Whereas if it's the other way around, females get child support and the guy has to pay and may not even be able to see his kids. Guys, to prevent this from happening, don't have sex. At the end of the day, you have sex, you're going to have a baby, because there's no such thing as safe sex, guys. There's really no such thing. Like, the medical field will sell you this, and the only way to have safe sex, to not get STD, to not get pregnant, is to not even have sex at all. We are we're letting that fact go over our heads like this, and then we start focusing on, well, the guy said and the girl said and she did and he did. To stop all of that, just stop being in such an urge to have sex with people, guys. You're having sex with people that may not even be meant to be in your life for but a short while. Having sex with them is not going to keep them. And a lot of guys, a lot of y'all people doing this, you grew up in the church. You grew up as Christians. Yeah, as an adult, you can find your own way. But look now, the path you're going is making you pregnant with a bunch of kids that you don't even have the money to pay for. That's why you broke away from the church. That's why you decided not to follow the word, so you can be in pain and agony in your future, bringing other people into the same pain and agony in the name of love, because you love them. But guess what? It's statistically proven, guys, that the earlier you have kids, the more likelihood you will be poor. Okay? So now let's think about it. You have a kid at 17, you don't have a career, you don't have a savings account, you don't have, a good support system. You're just stacking up the odds against yourself and your child, because now your child has to suffer for your actions. You chose to have a kid and you didn't even have a career. Oh yeah, you can say God will provide, right? But what happens if you keep having sex and you get pregnant again and again and again? Now the government has to step in. They might either take your kids from you if you don't get on support, and this is not something you guys should strive to do just in the name of having sex. Oh, the government gonna take care of my kids so I can have sex. But guess what? The government is also taking the men out of the home because you guys couldn't get it together. You get on Section 8, and guess what? A man can't live there with you. So you got to sneak. All right? Now you sneaking and you pay, Section 8 is paying for your stuff. And now this guy, whoever you sneaking in, feels like he don't have to do nothing. He don't have to provide. He don't have to protect. So women, men, we're both to be held accountable here. Guys, you sleeping with these females and you not, just because you want to have sex, but you're not able to support a kid. So you're making that child poor. You're borning them into a piss poor mindset. So now when they grow older, when they get 15, 16, 17, they're just looking at you and copying you. Then you ask yourself why we have this system where the men gotta pay and get garnish their checks and they can't see their kid. Because you open up your legs. Because you had to get your dick wet. Like, that's the price you're paying for that. You grew up in the church. If you grew up in the church and you already know this and you still having sex, you gotta be grateful. You gotta be grateful, because when God is ready to remove his hand from you, you're gonna hit rock bottom. And if you don't go to God before that happens, rock bottom, people, if you haven't been there yet, if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't been there yet, you don't want to be there. So this is a note to your old self. I know this is a daunting subject because you want to have sex so bad. You want to have sex so bad, you will put yourself, that man you having sex with, and your child in a less than favorable position than you would have if you waited to at least see if you're compatible enough with this person, enough for a long-term relationship. Here you go. So the guy asked, he said, what do you think about this system? Do you think it's fair? Do you think, because what can we do now? This is years, 300 years later of just having sex and not focusing on what you're supposed to focus on. So here is a letter to your old self. Like I said, this is a daunting subject, but it's so daunting that it made me have to get on video and say something to you guys, because as I go out into the world and I'm not that person and I want to elevate myself, guess what? It's too many people who are that person. So it'll either be hard for people who are not like that to actually have a meaningful relationship if you're raising your kids. Now, what about my kids? What about your kids? We raising them to be pleasure-minded, for quick gratification and nothing to show for it? Let me talk to your old self now, because you're going to change this. If you don't change it, you're going to go out into the world and you're going to see how what I'm saying to you is true. And you're going to regret you didn't change sooner, because guess what? I was walking the other day and it just like slapped me on my forehead. You and your life and where your life is today is a total sum of all the choices you've made in the past. If you're not happy with your life today, look at the choices you've made in your past and try to figure out how they got you to today. What do you need to change to have